Good evening everyone, welcome to Train Simulator. We are driving from Brighton to London Bridge. I know this is fairly different to my usual type of video. Now why is this not working? Okay, what's going on? The power is off, and that's quite unusual because usually the power is on by default. I have no idea what's going on here. Usually the power is on already, and all you have to do is flip the switch here from neutral to forward, and yet it's not doing this. As far as I know, everything should be turned on already. Well, hitting the shoe down should do it. I have no idea what's going wrong today. So that's working. And this isn't. I haven't a clue what's going on here. This has literally never happened before. I throw on the Twitch server and it happens. I really don't know what's gone wrong. Now the game's frozen. No, there is. That is strange. I've been playing this game for quite some time. It was previously Train Simulator 2017. When it came to 2018 it changed it automatically, so I've had this game about a year now, or a bit more than that. This has never happened before. So that's the power on. There we go. AWS. So we can let on some passengers now. So today we're driving this 375 from Brighton to London Bridge. So we've got the inside view here. So this is a 50-mile journey, and it is 1:1 scale, so it will take the same as it would in real life. So we've got an 8-coach train today. And off we go. So there we're leaving Brighton station. I frequent Brighton quite a lot, and this is pretty much the same as it is in real life. And over here on the right, I'm speeding. On the right here we have the line that goes down to Lewes, Eastbourne, Hastings and Seaford. So when I go to Brighton I'd come from down that way. It's quite a view from that bridge. What is that pantograph doing over there? Never mind. If it's the only way it's working, then so be it. I do this route quite regularly on my YouTube channel, and I often drive trains from all around the world on here, and there's a stretch between Bolcombe and can't remember what station it is after Gatwick Airport, but I use that stretch to go as fast as possible. So I've had the French TGV on there doing nearly 200 miles an hour in a 90 mile an hour zone, and I've had the Southeastern high speed train on there as well doing about 170 odd or so. So I like to break the norms of this game. So this journey is expected to take around about 55 minutes or so from previous times that I've done this, which is twice today, I believe. So I'm using a controller to play it at the moment. Usually I use the mouse and keyboard, but it's time to change things up, so I'm using a Logitech F3400 controller. And this route has a top speed of 90 miles an hour. And I think there's usually a sign on here what the top speed of a train is. I think this one's about 100 or so. I had the HST on here earlier, which does a top of 125, but I didn't push it to that, and I'm about to break the speed limit again. So when you're trying to talk and drive a train at the same time, breaking the speed limit is quite common. And I haven't actually done this route in real life before. I've done... well, from where I am I can reach Hastings station, and there's 3 different routes of getting to London. One of them joins up to this line after Lewes, and when we reach there I'll show you where it joins up to this main line, and the other route is going via Ashford International and catching the high-speed train from Ashford to St Pancras, and then there's Hastings to London Charing Cross. So where I am there's no shortage of trains. Can pretty much go anywhere from where I am, so it's quite good. So we've got a speed limit of 90 miles an hour now. Steadily speed her up. So we've got the free cam here, so I can go ahead of the train. We've got our passenger view here. This train's on my local line. You won't find the specific train on this line in real life. You get a slight variant of it. And this is fairly accurate to the ones that I go in. Though the top of the seats here aren't as squared out as they are. They're more round in real life. But everything else is pretty much accurate. Just having a little look around the cab here. There's not much to it. Control there controls the throttle and the brake. So you pull back to go faster, you push forwards to go slower. Which I will need to do momentarily as we're hitting 86 miles an hour in a 90 zone. So we're coming up to Hassocks. So as we're hitting 88 miles an hour, I'll show you what it looks like on the controller. So slowing down and you can see the switch moving forwards. So I'll leave that in position 2 for a little while. There's no set route on this, so I can literally travel stopping at as many stations as I want. So I'm going to stop at Haywards Heath, and there's East Croydon and Clapham Junction, then we'll hit London Bridge. I think Clapham Junction's in this one, I'm not overly sure. So I don't think this particular route is actually official from Brighton. This is just a diversion from the usual route of London Victoria, which goes up round Battersea. If you know the London area, you'll know that quite well. So in a second you'll see the link from Lewes and Eastbourne, that line that joins up to this line. And that's how I would get to this line if I was travelling on the train to Victoria. So here it is here. You can just see out the window there. The link is back there, so that would go down to Lewes, Eastbourne, Seaford, Hastings. And I better watch my speed. If I was to play a scenario right now, I'd have lost points for speeding. Quite a bit of the cab you can interact with the buttons here, though you can't really do it on a controller. So if I use the mouse, you can see the hand gesture appears and it indicates which switches you can actually use. So we've got the emergency stop up there, don't want to press that. Cab light, you can toggle that. Typically I don't interact with these switches, it's not exactly necessary. So we've got our first station stop approaching, so I'm going to take off the throttle. It is a very easy train to stop, so I have no problems with this one. Like there's other ones that are on the Portsmouth line that's like trying to stop a hot knife through butter really. It's terrible brakes on that one. Class 450 I believe that is. So start to ease on the brakes. Hopefully I won't overshoot. And I find it's typically best to enter the station going at around 30 miles an hour to get a decent length of the platform. So I'll just ease off the brake a little bit. And then hit the brake again. So this is an 8 coach train, so we have to look out for the 8 car stop on the platform. Some platforms will have an S car stop, which would imply that a train of any length should stop at the S and not look out for the number. So here's the 4, 6 and 8 car stop, so I will stop just about here. Perfect. Doesn't seem to be anybody here. Oh, there was one person. It's not like the real station, this would have been packed out. But then it is just a game really. And off we go. On the older trains from like the 1980s, 70s, 60s for example, if you were to do what I just did, which was to throttle all the way up like that, you would have probably blown up the engine in the train. But with these I think they could handle full throttle like that. Yeah, those pantographs are really bothering me now. So let's just speed off ahead. I don't know where this line here goes. Let's have a quick look. Oh, I see. It's an industrial site. I think when we get to our next stop I'm going to try and put those pantographs down. That's quite annoying. So our next stop would be it would be Gatwick Airport. So that's quite a way away. We've got Balcombe coming up shortly. And then we've got 3 bridges. And then it's Gatwick Airport. So I'll try and sort out the pantographs then. I believe that yellow thing down on the ground there is like, say if the driver passed out or fell asleep, they wouldn't be able to trigger a pedal, which is like the AWS, which is that big yellow button there. If they didn't hit that, the brakes would have come on automatically and stop the train. The age of runaway trains is way behind us. So there's Bolcombe as we shoot through it, and we've got a speed change coming up from 90 to 80. And we're already slowing down anyway, we're going uphill. But it's not a long change, we've got a 90 mph signal coming up. So I'm going to drop the speed down a little bit so we can hit that 80 in time. Usually once I've done this turn, this is where I'd put the throttle up and see how fast the train will go. And bearing in mind this is a 90 mph zone, pushing it up to around 200 or more with a TVG, the train will start to shake quite violently. Because you can see on the left hand side there's like a target sort of thing with a white dot in the middle, and that sort of visualizes how, like, the forces of the train going side to side and up and down, so you'll see it go wildly left or right. So we now go up to 90 miles an hour. We've got 3 bridges ahead of us and we will be stopping at Gatwick Airport. I do believe there is a section in this route, or the London Victoria, when we're going to London Bridge, but the London Victoria one, maybe this, there's a really violent part of the track. I think it's actually going into either South Croydon or East Croydon, one of those two. It's really violent. And I was going along here in an older sort of diesel earlier with about 12 coaches in it, and I thought it was going to come off the track. Something that I have, or might have done in the past several times. I've also got a mod on here that turns the German ICE 3 high-speed train into the Eurostar, but that seems to have problems with a lot of the routes on here because it doesn't have AWS, whereas a lot of the British lines have AWS, so it will randomly stop every so often, which is quite annoying. So with the TVG I don't think that's got AWS, but that doesn't seem to be affected on these lines. So we should start to see Gatwick Airport on the map at the bottom of the screen shortly. And then we'll start to apply the brakes. Not much to see around here. So there's Gatwick Airport just appearing on the map. So I'm going to gradually slow down. We're going to apply some brakes now. I use quite a lot of different trains on here, and their braking power and distance is very different from one another, so it's hard to remember what a braking of a particular train is like, so I think I should be okay with this one to let it hang on just for a little while longer. So we need to get 30 miles an hour as we enter the station. This might be a bit of an overshoot. So I've applied full service. I don't do that very often, but I haven't used this train for quite some time. There's the 6 car. And we'll ease it off there. There's no 8 car indications, so we'll use that one. Let's see if we can get these pantographs down. Oh, they've gone. Or have they? No, they're there. Hopefully I haven't just turned off the train, which is always the risk. Now those CCTV footage, there's a new feature of 2018. Previously it just said no image available, though I haven't really seen real life train drivers use those monitors. Because usually we have a guard who hangs around the 4th coach, depending on how big the train is, but say if it's an 8 coach train, they're usually around the 4th coach and they press a button to indicate that they're ready to go. It's that sort of beep beep that you heard before we departed. So that's Gatwick Airport, so our next station stop is East Croydon, if it's in the route, because the train diverts away from the Victoria line, so it's either East Croydon that we stop at, and then we miss Clapham Junction, or they're both in it, I don't quite remember. Let's just push the throttle up all the way, get that 90 mile an hour speed going. I had been playing a lot of Call of Duty on my previous streams, and I finally got bored of it yesterday, and I've only had the game 2 weeks. I only really played it for zombies and the story mode, and I've only played like 2 hours of the story mode, and zombies gets a little bit repetitive. There is actually in the older versions of Train Simulator a zombie mode in that, where it's like in a post-apocalyptic world. You've got zombies all over the tracks, you've got to drive a train, pick up survivors. I don't think it's available for sale anymore, so we can't play that. But I do also have Train Sim World, which recently got announced that it will be on Xbox One as well as PC. And I've played about 4 hours of that and then I uninstalled it. I just wasn't in the mood for it. But the graphics are far more superior to this. You can see the speed of the train as you go past the environment around it. So I'll install that again tomorrow and we can do a live stream on that. Because the particular route that I've got in mind for that, it's the East Coast Main Line. It's on this game as well, but you can tell between the two games, and I've got to slow down now. You can see the difference in the quality of graphics. It's really good. It uses the Unreal Engine. I can't remember what Dovetail Games used for this one, but the Unreal Engine is so good. So we're over halfway in our journey today. We've got 21 miles to go. We've got to be careful on this, but we're going down the hill and the train will build up speed again. But I think we're just going to be okay. We can actually do with some speed actually. We're 7 miles an hour below the speed. I would really love to see London Underground on this game. I think that would really top it off. There is, I think it's World of Subways where it's got New York and London. And it looks incredibly buggy, and from what I've seen of people playing it on YouTube, it doesn't really seem to work so well. But if Dovetail Games would make it, I think that would be really good. No, I think the route I would definitely prefer on here would be an extension of the Chatham Main Line, which it had recently, including the Medway Valley Line. But I'd like it to go from like Ashford down to Dover Priory, which is a regular route of mine. I go and visit Dover Castle. The town of Dover is a bit sort of, I wouldn't exactly say run down, I'd say it'd be neglected somewhat. But I don't go there for the town. I love history. I've got a YouTube channel called History Class, so I had been posting videos on there, but it's since the demonetization of all the small channels I've just completely lost any motivation to put any effort into it. But I do have a Facebook page that I do put posts on Monday to Fridays. I'd like to be able to do the YouTube channel again. It wasn't exactly motivating for YouTube to sort of do that to all the small channels lately, but I understand why. But then if that didn't happen, I wouldn't have come over to Twitch, and I find Twitch quite good actually. Like YouTube, it has its own perks, its own rewards and benefits, like YouTube used to have, but it's all good on Twitch. Makes interactions with your audience far better than YouTube. I don't generally stream on YouTube because the quality is really bad. I know on Twitch it's 720p, but I think that's perfect for streaming. Plus you get your live interaction with your viewers, which works for me. It's almost like having a conversation with them sometimes. Not that I would expect it so much with Train Simulator. It's not exactly the popular game out there, but it is different. I also play Battlefield 1 as well, so it's definitely the better multiplayer experience, unlike Call of Duty. Very arcade-like, that is. But then this game could be argued as very Arcadian compared with Train Sim World, which is literally you have to set up the entire train from start to finish. Like with the master key switch, you got that where it says master key switch. You'd have to set all of that up, put your route in, do everything. Whereas on here it's already there for you to go and just collect points in the sort of scenario modes. So we've got the two Purleys coming up shortly. We've got Purley and then Purley Oaks, and then I believe it is South Croydon, East Croydon, which slows the train down to 45 and then 20 miles an hour, and then I believe 30 as we enter East Croydon, which is all fun. I do sometimes question why anybody would build two stations of practically the same name so close together. It's strange. It's like on the line that I am local to, there are 3 stations within about 1.5 miles of each other. And then you've got the Dover line, you've got Folkestone Central and Folkestone West, which is pretty much around the corner from each other, so I would have thought of it as an inconvenience really, but people use it, so they keep them open. So we're going to start to slow down to 60. We've got South Croydon coming, then we go through South Croydon, we have East Croydon on the other side, and that's when the train really needs to slow down. So we've got a 45 mile an hour coming up, that's the AWS. Then I believe it slows down to 20 miles an hour, then it goes back up to 30. Or not. Must be thinking of a different route, because I've played quite a few recently. There's a bit of wobble there. So on the tail end of South Croydon I'll bring the brakes down a little more so we get to that 45 mile an hour mark. So if I left that alarm ringing, the train would stop itself. And in the scenario mode you would have lost quite a lot of points for that. Same with applying an emergency brake as well. So we'll start to bring the train to a steady stop. There doesn't appear to be an 8-car stop, so I'll stop it. Oh, there it is. We'll just pretend that wasn't there and we'll stop just in the middle of it. So that 8-car stop, though I am stopped quite in the right place, strangely enough. It looked like I was going to overshoot it, but I haven't. Stopped right in the right place. Train Simulator Pro right here. I swear I was going to overshoot that, but that is a detail we will forget. Not bad, not bad. So there's our cheerful driver. And we've just gone in him. So our next stop should be, or could be, Clapham Junction, unless the train diverts to another route just before there. I'll only do this one route tonight. It's just gone 11 o'clock, but tomorrow I could easily do another 2 or 3 routes on different lines just to show what's on here. And then I'll also put Train Sim World on sometime tomorrow afternoon. And that's had quite a few updates recently. They got new lines, they've got Germany, I forget, it's New Jersey is the other one. I wonder if they'll actually redo a London line for it. And then we've got a nice 70-mile-an-hour speed limit as we go through Norwood Junction. And I think the other line to the left of it is a London Overground service, which I have DLCs for, so I could always play that in the next stream. I believe that was a DLC that came out last year at some point. It came with 2 different London Overground packs. And I've also got the South London pack, which this is a part of. Usually it's Brighton to London Victoria, it's its own line. You could actually buy it on its own without getting the rest of the game. So this is this joining up with the South London, which we're on right now, so I don't believe Clapham Junction's in this bit. And the South London network line is a lot older than the rest of it, so if you were to play it as it is, so say if you were going to go from, I don't know, London Victoria around to London Bridge, the graphics would look a lot worse than this. Lower resolution, lag, a lot more lag, and crashes as well. It does this weird cutscene thing before you start each journey, and that's where you usually crash as well, and you can't get rid of it either. So we've only got 6.5 miles to go. So soon you'll start to see landmarks of London appear, like the Shard, and I think the building's called the Gherkin. You've got the walkie-talkie building as well, which caused quite a lot of damage with cars not too long after it opened. All the sunlight concentrated on one bit of the window, and it reflected and started to damage cars around the surrounding areas. Have to be careful here, we're going downhill. Got the acceleration onto 2, so that will speed up even faster than you would expect. Even with the throttle off, we'll start to grow speed steadily, but when you're not always looking at it, it's always when the speeding comes in. We've got the 60 coming up, so we have to slow down anyway. Also being wary that we are on a downhill, so even turning the throttle off will still speed up. There we can see London starting to appear in the distance there. London's only about 65 miles north from where I am. Haven't been there for a few years though. It's rather lost the appeal to me somewhat. So we've got a lot of varying speeds coming up. We've got our 60, that was the warning for the 25. And then we've got a 40 and a 20 and a 60. And our final speed should be 20 miles an hour as we go into London Bridge. So we're going to get quite a lot of AWS warnings now. We've got the double yellow lights there. And the one thing I haven't noticed a lot of is where are the rest of the trains? I haven't seen anything really. Should really slow down. We're gonna hit that 25 quite quickly now. There, should be okay now. I think that's the Gherkin in the distance, the building in the middle. Or is the Gherkin the mayor's office? Could be the HSBC building, I'm not overly sure. I haven't been to London for quite a few years, so I've forgotten it all. We've got this 40 coming up, so there isn't any point in going up to that speed given that we've got a 20 just coming up shortly after it. So by the time we get up to 40 we'd have had to have slowed down, we would have shot through and broken the speed limit, even though we got that 60 on the other side. Or we could have derailed given the tightness of the turn here. So there's a shard there right in front of us, a tall building in the background. It's very expensive to go up there and stand looking out the window over London. And I haven't been up there, you wouldn't pay me to get up there. So we should be about to come onto the final straight of our journey once we've come around this left turn. It's the last speed increase here. So there's the walkie-talkie building just ahead of us. And I believe the line on the right hand side is the line that goes down to Hastings via Tunbridge and Tunbridge Wells. And it also diverts off to Ashford International to where you can get to Dover, Margate, Ramsgate and St Pancras, and also France as well. So we'll be shortly arriving at our final destination, so I hope you've enjoyed the video whether you're watching on Twitch or on YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, like and leave a comment for any suggestions. And on Twitch, please follow, subscribe or possibly leave a donation in the bottom. Be very helpful to me. So we've got our 20 mile an hour mark coming up. And then we weave ourselves into London Bridge. And the stations after this would include Waterloo East and then Charing Cross, and then there's the right turn that goes in down to Cannon Street, and you've got Blackfriars as well. So we're going to start to slow down. So where it gets very laggy. There's lots of textures to load in. Building on the left there was the tallest hospital in Europe. That's Guy's Hospital. I think it's Guy's and St Thomas's Hospital now. The view from up there is quite good. I used to actually watch the line from up the top of that hospital to the line that we're on now. Trains back then were very different. Might use one of those on my next video actually. So here we're going to start to come to a gradual stop. If you want to see any more Train Simulator, let me know and I will happily stream some more. If you want to see more Call of Duty or even some Battlefield. Though I just won't use the mouse that I've got at the moment, it's terrible. Where are the other trains? If this was real, the whole lot would be packed. Might be dependent on the scenario, I suppose. I'm only doing a quick drive. I can always do a scenario in the next stream as well. So we're going to bring it to a final stop. And then we can let everybody off. If I can find the right spot to bring up that symbol. I can't get... oh, there it is. So we can let everybody off. So thank you for joining me, and I will see you all in the next stream, which should be tomorrow.